Hello, I'm Damian Rico, and welcome to Cherishing Life, our hospice of the Calumet Area. We have an educational podcast, and we're really excited today because we have an awesome guest. We have the Queen of Bereavement. Um, Actually, her title is really Bereavement Facilitator. Sarah Tisich is with us to talk about bereavement and grieving. And Sarah, tell us a little bit about what you do for Hospice of the Calumet Area.
I've been at hospice now for 7 years.
Wow, 7 years.
Yeah, I know it feels longer.
I
I
know.
feel like I've been there forever. I am the bereavement facilitator, so I reach out to the families after someone's passed and check in with them and try to figure out if they need any kind of support, and we go from there. And everybody's different. Everybody gets a different kind of support, I think. I think people are at different places when someone dies, and
Right.
it's kind of my job to figure out where they're at and how to put them into the program so that they can get the most out of it. We have support groups, we have in-person things, we have virtual things available. We also can meet with families one-on-one after a loss if they need it. We also do phone support. We can call monthly. We just have kind of a program that we follow. You know, we call a couple weeks after, and then we call throughout the year. We have a mailing. We have newsletters that go out to them through the organization as well. And we just want them to know that they're also important to us and that we're here to support them just like we supported their loved one.
And how long do you follow families?
It's 14 months
14
we
months?
follow people, and I'm really proud of that because I think that the 1 year anniversary can be really hard for a lot of people, and sometimes they need the support the year after. So we try to follow up and just let them know that,
Right.
yeah, it's been a year, there's been a lot of changes, have you actually had time to grieve yet? Nobody, I think, can prepare anyone for the
Right.
death. And we can talk with them about spirituality. We can talk to them about social work things. We can talk to them about the medical things, but I hear every day, I just had no idea how much paperwork was going to
Right.
come up and how many phone calls I had to make and how many thank you cards. And it's that little like care manager stuff, that
Right.
housekeeping stuff that happens. And, there's a lot of conversation on when do I get rid of their things? How do I get rid of their things? Where do I donate to?
Because everybody grieves differently, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
people at different
Yes.
moments or times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's my job to adapt to each person, and reach out and see how the family's doing and try to figure out where they fit into the bereavement program and where I can fit in to help them as well.
Okay. Now, 14 months, there's a strategy behind that, right? It's not
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, we call the families about 2 weeks after someone passes, and we check in and introduce ourselves to them. Our nurses and our spiritual chaplains and our social workers do a really good job of talking to the families about bereavement too, and just letting them know, you're not going to be left. We're not going to just stop calling. You're not going to be alone after someone passes away. We also give families little cards at the call and just say, hey, we're still here, and if you need us, we're here for you. We are going to reach out, but if you need us before then, please call the office and ask for bereavement. We've also done some really good stuff. You've helped me with it, and Miguel, getting the website together.
right?
So the website has all the calendars for the year. We have the support groups are up there for our virtual events and our in-person support groups, which are held at Cancer Resource Center on Ridge Road in Munster. So big thanks to them. We get a lot of questions. People think that our support groups are only for people who had cancer.
Right.
And that's not true.
Okay.
We have people come into that support group from all walks of life, all kinds of loss. And we just try to facilitate people as they come in. There's support available. If you're open to it and you want it, if you don't want it, we're not going to keep calling. We're not going to bother you. And that's okay too.
Right.
Some people can have a really hard time when someone passes, and other people, they can say, I'm really proud of the way we took care of them. And, we did everything that they wanted. We honored their wishes. And we're okay.
Right.
They lived a good life and they were this age and, they left a mark on the world and we're here to keep their memory alive. And other people, they're not there yet.
Yeah, when I first started here 8 years ago, a year before you, the board of directors and our CEO, Adrian May, they said education is the most strongest component of what we do. And you've done a great job putting resources out there on hospicecalumet.org. It has a little bit something for everybody,
Hmm.
adults, teenagers, kids.
Yeah.
You've partnered with the Sesame Street
Hmm.
group. Talk a little bit about that.
Sesame Street is amazing. I had no idea any of that stuff was out there. We have the link on the website, which is hospicecalumet.org. And on the Sesame Street page, there is a topic called difficult times. They talk with parents, teachers, educators, and children.
Okay.
On the website, you can click on different links about grief support. They even have things up there about talking to children about other kinds of loss. Maybe it's divorce, homelessness, food, issues, school issues. They have everything from videos that you can watch to printouts to do with the kids, from, little shows, and the printouts are really cool. So especially when you're dealing with someone, I'd say like 6, 5 and under, how do you talk to them
Right.
about these tough topics? And I think that's what Sesame Street calls it, is tough topics. And they have these little worksheets that you can print out from the website. And I tell people all the time, go on the website, look at it, let me know what you want. I can print it out for you and get it to you, or meet with you, and go over it with you. It's just an interesting take on it all.
Right.
It's free. And it's just so supportive, and people don't even know it's there.
Because children grieve differently, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
think we think children are
Yeah.
resilient, and they
Yeah.
may seem like that on the exterior, but in the interior, they're suffering too.
Well, and there's different ages. You can't tell a kid, oh, they're asleep, right? Because then they think they're going to wake up. I know what my daughter was going to be 13 when my dad passed at Riley, and the funeral home he was laid out at was on our way to preschool. And she had her birthday and he passed, and she started preschool all within a few weeks. And I had to start driving a different way to preschool every morning because she was like, I want to go in there and see grandpa again. And, she was 3 years old. And, it was like, well, he's not there. And, it's individual with kids, I feel.
Hmm.
I think that if a family wants me to talk with kids and they want me to meet with kids, I can do that. But I want to know what the family is telling the
Hmm.
child. There's different ways for us to come at it as professionals. Same with our chaplains and our social workers, the nurses. Our team does a wonderful job of bringing that family together before they even get to me. So I'm really proud of that as well. But it's about where the kid is at and what is the family unit telling them, what is the kid's support system, and what is their background and all of that too. And it's my job to kind of adapt to that to assist the family.
Right. And over the years, you've shared some really inspiring stories. I think it was Elizabeth that wore your dad's T-shirts to bed every night,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was
helped her,
Ellie.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming up on his anniversary in August. So yeah, she sleeps in his t-shirts. I think we all do. My
Right.
mom does. I do. We all do. We have his car. The car is going to be in the car show this
Yeah,
weekend.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to keep those legacies and those memories alive
Yeah.
because that's really what fills our hearts and our minds with these. And a lot of people think, well, it gets easier over time. It doesn't really get easier; it just gets a little bit more manageable, I
Yeah.
think, right?
It's not that it gets easier. You kind of think of a time when they were alive and you were all happy and you were all together, and then you think about the time when they were sick and that you miss them terribly, but you don't want them here suffering anymore.
Hmm.
And then there's a time without them. So as time passes, you almost start to talk about, oh no, they were still alive. Oh no, that was after they passed. So you kind of have this warped sense of time when someone you love that's so close to you, that shaped you and molded you and guided you, when they're not in your life anymore, you kind of think of it as, oh, well, this is when they were here and this is when they're
Right.
not here.
I've heard you over the years use the term "new reality" to some
Yeah.
patients, and I think that our family
Yeah.
members, and I think that's awesome because I think that's just I never really thought of things that way, but it becomes a new normal, right?
It is a new normal. We talk a lot in the support groups, and when I talk to families, we talk about the caregiver role change that happens. We talk about identity changes that happens, especially with somebody who lost a partner of 50 years. Some of these women, they came out, and men too, they came out of high school, they got married, they moved in together, and they've been together for 60, 70
Oh,
years.
yeah, that's incredible.
And how do you live without that person sitting next to you? And it is about that missing component of compassion and just empathy and just having someone present. Even though they were sick and you had to take care of them, they were still there with you.
And there's a lot of resources out there that you
Yeah.
share with folks too, not
Yeah.
just our support systems,
Yeah.
but
I'm really proud of kind of the area in Northwest Indiana. Wounded Healers is a big group here, and they meet at St. James the Less Church in Highland. We've worked with them for years. They're a non-for-profit. They meet on Wednesday evenings. It's a different kind of group than we host. Our support group is open to everyone. So when people come into our support group, they might have lost a child. They could have lost a partner. They could have lost a sibling, and it's just open. And we
mhm.
support everybody who comes through. And I'm really proud of the groups and the way people interact with each other and the way that they support each other. It's really remarkable to see people come together. A lot of people are still on the fence about support groups and, oh, I've never done that, and you're
Right.
not going to teach me new things. But I've seen some stuff over the years, and these
Yes.
people just come together, and it's beautiful.
It is very healing. My aunt just told me that she's been going and she didn't want to. And she said that when she went, she realized a few things. And number one is how lucky she was to have a beautiful husband and a relationship, because not everybody has that.
Right.
But also that, you can be there for somebody else just to listen. And
Yeah.
that's probably the hardest thing to do for
Yeah.
folks, especially maybe men. Uh,
No, you don't say, Damien.
uh, but, just listening to
Yeah.
somebody can make a huge difference.
Yeah, our support groups try to facilitate that. We have the virtual group. They're on Thursdays at 10 a.m. and at 6 p.m. And then the cancer resource group that we offer is on Wednesday afternoons at 1:30 at the center there. And like I said, it is an open grief group. It has nothing to do with if you lost your person on cancer. Wounded Healers is meeting on Wednesday evenings in Highland. They're unique. They separate you based off of what kind of loss you had. So if you lost a spouse or if you lost a child, you would be in a group with people who only lost those people.
Because that is totally different,
It's
right?
totally
Yeah.
different. So some people come into support group and they'll say, you know what, I just, I lost my child and I want to be around people who also felt that kind of loss. And I understand that. There's people that go to that group, there's people that come to our group, they go to both groups, and they're getting something out of it. I think that's the most important part, is to finding your place in all of that. On our website, we also have the link up there for Grief Share, which is another wonderful organization. They have a little bit more of a spiritual component to it. You can go on that site and search by zip code across the country to find help anywhere. So I'm really proud of that as well.
And I think, at Hospice of the Calumet Area, that Cherishing Life tagline
Yeah.
is a philosophy. It's a mission that we have, and we carry not just our patients and our families, but our staff and
Yeah.
our volunteers, anybody and everybody. And I think that's so important. We do an event, the Butterflies in the Park,
Yeah.
and we honor those
Yeah.
folks, the ones that have gone beyond, and we love them, and we share that with a lot of grace and dignity. And I think that is awesome. We
It's,
start with a butterfly
yeah.
release in honor of your loved ones,
Yeah.
and then we have a fun
Hunt,
butterfly hunt, which
run
is really
around.
awesome. But
Yeah.
the whole concept, I think, came with just celebrating life
Yeah.
and those legacies and those relationships that we
Yeah.
built over the years.
The
So I think there's a
butterfly,
lot of things.
it's going to be September 7th, right? At
Yes.
Halls of St.
Yeah, yeah,
George.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but every year we do that, and we look out in Hospice of the Calumet Area. You can look on our Facebook page and find out all of our events. We got some really, really cool things coming up as well. Hospicecalumet.org is our website, but a lot of resources for folks. And
Yeah, there's a lot up there. There's the Center for Loss and Life Transitions is up there, and that's a really good site too. Refuge in Grief is a good one. That's Megan Devine. She wrote a book. It's okay, you're not okay, and talks about grief, and it's a wonderful book to read. I think it hits really close to home. It's down to earth. It's easy
okay,
to read. It's not so I don't want to say educational, where it's talking about more like theories and definitions and stuff like that. I think she really touches a lot of people. I think that the resources that we've spent the time kind of researching and making sure that they are good on the website are very accurate for what we need.
So how'd you get into this?
I was in college and I wanted to work with seniors and elderly people because my grandma at home had Alzheimer's, and I saw my parents and all of us kind of struggle with it, and I wanted to get in a career where I could help other people get support. And I worked at Catholic Charities for a while. I worked for Adult Protective Services, and then I transitioned into a nursing home as a social service director. And then my dad got sick. And he came down with cancer and a lot of in and out over the years. And he ended up at Riley House. And I had my second daughter. And yeah, I called hospice and I said, I want to come work for you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming because we really enjoy having you. But sir, you always have a really good disposition. I mean, you're always fun and you've always got some kind of crazy stories coming out of your mouth. We love that because you share that, and I think that's part of the hospice.
Yeah.
Families. That's very, very important. Like, our kids go to the events.
Yeah.
Our kids volunteer
Yeah.
at the events.
Yeah.
They're going to grow up knowing giving and caring
Yeah. Yeah.
and loving others. I mean, that's part of the reason why I love this job.
I love seeing my kids at stuff. I'm so proud of them that they want to be at events. I'm pretty sure that both of them would live at Riley House if I let them or if they were allowed to. Just checking on families and bringing them Kleenex and coffee, and I know that they would love that. I'm really proud of them and just trying to live that charity life and give back and keep them humble. I think it's really important, and they're really looking forward to the car show this weekend, and they're looking forward to the butterfly event, and it's going to be fun.
Any misconceptions or do you think that are out there that people don't realize about hospice care?
Yeah, I think medication management is really hard on a lot of families. There's a lot of education out there that tells us, that death is bad and it's hard and it is bad and it is hard because it's sad and we don't want to lose somebody that we love. In other worlds and other cultures, they're taught to celebrate life, and every day could be your last day.
Right.
Right. So live every day that you can. And here we focus more on, I think, longevity sometimes. And I think that it's hard for people to watch them suffer and to
Okay.
watch them kind of slowly decline over the years. And I think it's hard on them. I wish that it was easier on people.
Okay.
I think that if people understood more about disease process and understood more about maybe medication management and just what's going to happen after someone passed, it might be a little easier, but I could just be wrong, and that's my opinion.
Well, no,
You know what I mean?
and your opinion counts because I think people they think that hospice is like for the end, the very end. Actually, it's 6 months or less, right?
Right.
And we renew, and if
Right.
somebody doesn't pass in 6 months,
Right.
we take care of them, and
Right.
it helps. Like I said, it doesn't make it easier, but I think makes it a little bit more manageable when you work with a team
Yeah.
that's there to support you.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that people don't realize is that we're not just there for the patients, but we're also there for the families.
Well, and I think that that's a big part of hospice, and that's something that I advocate to people when they ask me about hospice is it's not about just the patient, it's about the whole family unit. It's about making sure that, the caretaker is eating and sleeping, and, we have wonderful volunteers that can go sit with patients. We have music therapy programs available. We have social workers at the ready, to help make decisions and maybe do advanced planning and funeral planning and help talk through those things. We have the chaplains and the spiritual department also to facilitate it. And it's not a religious thing. It can be,
Right.
but just to facilitate,
Not for
those,
everybody.
right. But just for those people who question, what
Yeah.
is going to happen next? What am I going to do with all of this? They can facilitate those conversations. I think our aides and our nurses are fabulous at what they do and spending the time and just touching those families like, hey, I'm here to help you, not just them.
Right.
And I think that it is important that, we try to touch as many people as we can with that.
Right. And I think that's the unique part is everybody's care plan is different,
Different.
whether it's
Hmm.
the clinical side, whether
Right.
it's the spiritual
Right.
side. We meet people where they're at.
Right.
If somebody wants a priest or
Right.
faith, we give it to them. If they
Right.
do not, we
Right.
don't. We just talk
Right.
to them about general
Right.
things that might be on their
Right.
mind, which is awesome.
Our social workers do so much. They do everything from assisting with veterans, support care, and music therapy, and just facilitating hard conversations. I know our social work, their department there, our chaplains, they've talked with children, they've talked with families, they've had family meetings to facilitate things. Hospice isn't just, Riley House. I mean, Riley House is fantastic,
Right.
but our agency goes into people's homes. We service parts of Illinois and all the way up to Porter County, so we go into facilities, we go into assisted livings, we go into nursing homes. There's a lot that we cover, and it's important to try to see that and know
Yeah.
that ahead of time.
Yeah, and you mentioned veterans. 1 in 4 hospice patients is
Yeah.
veterans, and now we're reaching the age where the Vietnam veterans are,
Yes.
and this is a great time to take care of them because we didn't necessarily treat them so well when
Right.
they came back from Vietnam.
We do a good job. I really believe that, we have a We Honors Veterans program, and we try to get a volunteer out to the home, and we try to honor them. We present them with a certificate. We have wonderful people who knit and crochet these beautiful red, white, and blue comfort shawls, lap blankets, whatever the patient would like. They get that. And just facilitate that conversation, and thank you for your service. And some people don't want it, and that's okay. And some people really appreciate it. I've been a part of some of those when I was working as a social worker,
Very
and
emotional.
it is very emotional to go and see a patient who hasn't spoken in a while, or they know their time is coming, and they can recite those salutes and
Yeah.
recite those I, the affirmations or whatever you want to call them, and,
Yes.
and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to honor them.
Well, Sarah, we want to thank you for joining us on this edition of Cherishing Life. But is there anything before we go that you want people to know about either hospice care or your grief program or
Well, Hospice of Calumet Area, we service our patients' families. That's what we do first, but our support groups are open to the public. So anybody who is grieving or having a hard time, you can call the office and get into one of our support groups. That information is also on the website, which is hospicecalumet.org. My email is up there, so people can shoot me an email. Is probably the best way to get a hold of me. That comes directly to me, and there's links for Grief Share, Wounded Healers, and other resources, from books to read to podcasts to listen to, and things of that nature. So help is available.
well, awesome. Well, thank you for all your support and your encouragement. You're always supportive of the things that we do in the office, and I thank you for that because we really appreciate it. Your energy and your enthusiasm is really refreshing, Sarah.
Thanks.
Um, and so we just wanted to thank you guys for joining us today on Cherishing Life. We do these educational podcasts for a reason. There's a lot of things that people are going through that don't realize or maybe aren't ready for the help. But we encourage people to call our office, which is 219-922-2732, or look on our website, hospicecalumet.org. It doesn't hurt to call or ask questions. I feel like a lot of folks are being more proactive with end
Hmm.
of life care, talking about palliative care,
Yeah.
talking about hospice care, and we are that organization that
Yeah.
provides that. Not only do we provide it with excellence. We are 5-star Medicare,
Right.
Medicaid, hospice, which is amazing, and that's a testament to all the
Yeah.
great folks that we have working for
Right.
us. Including the
Yeah.
volunteers. We also are hospice honors recipients, and that's
Hmm.
very important for us because that is a survey that is giving out by the
Right.
caregivers, and that's why we do these kind of
Right.
things. So if anybody has any information or wants any information about hospice, please reach out to us.
Hmm.
hospicecalumet.org
Hmm.
or call us at 219-922-2732. Until the next time, enjoy cherishing life with your families.